We got some cool decals, like full car, like race car decals from a company, and maybe I'll link in the video to it. But they're in the UK, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like an old, basically like E30, E36 race livery that they had in the touring cars.
Oh boy, I don't want to unroll it because it's just like, oh my lord.
It's a lot there.
We got Bilstein, original BMW, Recaro.
Even got toe. Nice. That's pretty detailed.
There's so much.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy, like how much you get for like, it wasn't even that much.
It was about $300 shipped.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but
you could also include white vinyl if you wanted to, like if your car isn't already white.
yeah.
So.
I used to make stickers, and this would have been a lot to do.
Holy crap.
There's a lot of work that goes into it.
Couldn't cut it.
Oh, that's the like hood decal. So that's all the LTW style, like checkers.
Oh look, and the diagram.
Oh yeah, and then they got the old diagram, how it goes. What's up, boys and girls? Today we're gonna be throwing some S52 injectors in the E30. The reason I went with those is there's actually Megasquirt like stock base maps that have all the injector characteristics already in the file, so I could just copy that over to mine and not have to look up injector dead times and latencies and things like that that are a little bit tough to find. I'm also going from 19-pound injectors to 22, so just in case, you know, they're outflowed, I have a little more headroom with these different injectors. The other thing I'm going to be doing is changing out the map sensor that's actually built into the Megasquirt board. In the last video, I found out that the map sensor and barometer were off, and I think one of the sensors was actually dead. So I'll be changing that out. And then finally, I'm going to be actually trying to tune the car. Megasquirts are really cool because they have this auto-tune feature as long as your wideband sensor's working correctly. So I'm going to get that calibrated, all the rest of the sensors calibrated, and then the auto-tune can kind of take over and do its thing from there. It obviously won't tune your ignition, so I think eventually I'm gonna try and wire up some knock sensors from maybe another car or chassis, and just play around with that, just so when I'm road tuning I can check for knock and add more timing where I can. The other thing I have to do is I got a barb fitting for this little vacuum box here, And I think what I'm gonna do is put the fitting right here, and then my brake booster line that was just going to the air box, not under vacuum, is gonna sort of go right here. So I'm gonna make that now. So I'm pretty happy with the way everything turned out here. I got the pink top injectors in there, you can kind of see them. I got my new fitting here on the vacuum box, leading to the brake booster. Looking pretty clean. Also had some extra vacuum lines, some silicone ones that I replaced. Some were pretty old and cracked, so looking good. So I think the next order of business here is to actually pull the radiator out. I need to verify the base timing and hook up a timing light and, you know, shine it on the crank pulley, and there's absolutely no way for me to see down there with all that stuff in the way. Well, that still had a lot of fluid in it. I don't know if you guys can see this, but basically I have a timing mark here. You just use a paint pen, and I actually marked where the top dead center two things line up here, and I actually set the motor itself to top dead center. So now when I use a timing light, I can easily see this little mark here and where it is on the actual lower timing cover too. So what I'm gonna do is, in the ECU, you can actually lock in timing to a certain degree. So what I'm just gonna try and do is crank it and set it to 0 degrees or top dead center, and then just verify with the timing light that the timing's correct. If your ECU thinks that, let's say you're 10 degrees advanced when you're actually at 0 degrees, your whole, you know, timing map is going to be offset by 10 degrees. So if you're commanding, let's say 20, 30 degrees, certain RPM, it could be off by 10 if you don't have that synced up with the ECU. So when you're working with standalones, this is literally the first step you would do. Make sure that the motor is actually in time with what the ECU is reporting. Here's another tip. If your car is ever misfiring or running sporadically, make sure you check out your crank position and cam sensors. Make sure they're nice and clean. Mine, since these are magnetic, there was an actual washer stuck to the actual crank position sensor. So that's not going to work so well in telling the ECU what part of the engine cycle you're in. So make sure those are nice and clean. No sort of debris or interference between the sensor and the actual crank wheel. You want a nice strong signal going across. I'm doing some bench testing here with the Megasquirt. I actually installed my new map sensor. Took like 2 weeks to get here from China, but it's here. And then I'm actually just verifying in the Megasquirt itself. You can see there's calibration settings for the new map. So I just choose the correct sensor. And then I actually looked at my current altitude and what the atmospheric pressure is reading. And it's actually spot on to what the engine map in kPa is saying, about 94 kPa at my current elevation. So everything should be working there. I'm probably gonna package this back up and throw it in the car. I finally got to the point where it starts up and idles really well. I did notice that the throttle linkages are still getting stuck open. They're not closing fully. So I took everything apart and cleaned it, and it seems a lot snappier now. So hopefully that's all good. I think the next thing I'm gonna do is hook up the laptop, change a couple more settings in the tune, and then run the Megasquirt auto tune feature to dial in the VE table. It's a pretty cool feature. Basically it looks at the wideband sensor and figures out how far off it is from your set air fuel ratio, and will automatically correct based on that. I'm not going to be able to do much of it because some of those load cells you can't get to unless you're driving, obviously. So I'm going to try to tune some of the off load cells and see how that does. So one thing I did notice here is the actual coolant temp is just pegged at 180 degrees and not changing. I did try to update the controller with the correct values, but it's still staying 180 degrees and the car's off. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'll probably hook up a multimeter and figure out the resistance of that sensor, what it's reading right now, and see what's going on with that. But anyways, I guess let's try and do a quick startup here, see what happens. Turn my fuel pump on. Shouldn't have to give it any throttle. Let's see what happens. Okay, idle is pretty low. It's reading super lean. I'm gonna try to fatten this up a little bit. Idle's really low. Okay, let me do a couple turns on these and see what happens. All right, so we got to the point where I got it idling pretty good. Auto tune is doing its thing on the laptop. I still can't get the throttle to close down all the way. I don't know what the deal is, but I gotta figure that out. I put this return spring back on it, and it just does not want to close all the flaps fully. So when it closes down again, it's gonna idle at like 1500 to 2000 RPM, and that's not ideal. So I gotta figure that out. Throttle keeps sticking like all the way open. And I just have to like take it out of gear. Oh my god, that's literally the only problem with it right now, is the throttle sticks. It's so annoying. It was driving like completely fine. Oh, I somehow lost that. Somewhere.
Gross.
But yeah, I don't know why. Oh my god. When it gets hot, it just like expands and just sticks. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of scared.
Really I could hear you at the end of the street,
Yeah.
just like,
Cause sometimes when I snap it open and close it, it like goes back down to normal. So I was like trying to do that, and it got stuck wide open. I'm sure the neighbors love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, other than that, my tunes, it was working. I mean, it was like running fine. It wasn't trying to stall or anything. So yeah, it's super annoying for it to just have that little problem.